It can cost tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to build software for your business. Whether you're building it for an existing business or looking to start a new software company, it's a serious investment. And unfortunately, I've seen too many business owners make critical and avoidable mistakes that either leave them with something that doesn't work or that costs way more than it needed to. Having helped dozens of businesses to succeed with their software projects, today I'm going to show you the 7 biggest mistakes that you need to avoid so you don't waste your time, money, or sanity. Mistake number 1 is not knowing your own limits. Now, what happens is business owners without software experience, they don't know how to build software. They don't know how to run a software project or manage development teams. Is without knowing how to run a software development project, you can't really effectively guide or assess the quality of the work being performed, at least not until the end. And by the end, you've already put all your money, all your time, all your blood, sweat, and tears, and you end up with something that, if you don't know what you're doing, you risk ending up with something it's just not satisfactory. And it's a little bit like you wouldn't try and wire your house by yourself. You get an electrician to come in, and you trust them to do their job. But there's a lot of things like certifications. There's things that make you trust an electrician is good. That doesn't really exist in software development. And you wouldn't try and do it yourself. You find an expert that can do it for you. Now, what we do in our company, I run a software development studio called 7 Sigma. What we do is we tend to partner with and guide our clients through the software development process. Myself and my partner, we have a lot of experience running these software development projects. And so we're able to come in with that top level view. We can manage and we can run not just the development team, but we understand the business context and we can make the thing happen. If you try and hire a software engineer, for example, yourself directly, you don't necessarily have that overarching management insight, and that can trip you up. Issue number 2 is misunderstanding the project complexity. People underestimate what it takes going into building software. It's a bit like building a house, right? Maybe you could build a house yourself. It's going to take you years. It's going to cost you a lot of money in learning, experimenting, building a wall, and then realizing it doesn't fit safety standards. So you're going to have to knock it down and do it again. And, there's a reason that top startups end up paying software engineers, designers, project managers hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And it's because the top talent is genuinely really worth it. Now, often you don't need to pay that money, but there is a very significant advantage. And just like building a skyscraper, if we stick with the analogy of building a house, if you're trying to build a skyscraper, super complex, you're trying to build a house, super complex, there's ways to reduce the complexity, such as when you're building your first MVP, your minimal viable product, you want to minimize the amount of complexity, which reduces cost. The more complex the software you make, the more costly it's going to be to produce. Issue number 3 that people do is when hiring a software development team, they do insufficient due diligence. What does that mean? It's you find a team, you need to be looking at what is the previous work they've done. You need to be looking at and using the software that they are producing and using it yourself. We always give our prospective clients, if they ask for it, we're going to give them access to or show them real projects that we've designed, real projects that we've built, show them how it works, show the overall project and the business impact of that. If you're not getting that from your team, it's not necessarily a red flag, but you do need to be aware of you're taking people a lot by their word and not by the work that they can show you. And just like when building a house, one of the best ways to get an understanding of how good is that team is going to be you go and you look at another house they've built. You knock on the door and you speak to the homeowner and you say, hey, did you have a load of issues with your home that was built by this builder? And that's how you're going to verify that these guys are great. Now, number 4, connected to number 2, is overscoping the MVP. Now, what does this mean? It means we're trying to throw in too much into our very first version of the software. Best practice we always recommend is try and find like the least amount of functionality that you can have that you can put in front of either your team, if you're building software within your business, you can put in front of your clients, your customers, or your target users if it's for a new company. And look at like, what's the user feedback we're giving? Like, is what we've built actually going to solve the problem? Or are there specific things that we need to prioritize, which maybe aren't the things that we thought were going to be the most important at the beginning? And those are the things that we need to put in to the top of the development queue. So always recommend, you don't need to try and throw in everything and build the perfect version at the beginning. Much better approach is try and make the smallest piece of software you can that proves your use case, proves it can be valuable, and then figure out where we need to go from there. It's a much more agile approach and works a lot better. What we often do is we often have conversations with our clients, going over workshops, going over, we workshop with them what is going to be the most important part of the software. And we recommend, our incentive would be, build as much as possible and pay us as much as possible. That's not what we do. What we try and do is we say, no, what is our MVP? We're going to validate that the software is good, and then we're going to keep building it. And that's what's in your best interest, and it's also in the best long-term interest of the company overall. Now, number 5, the 5th big reason that I see people making mistakes is they partner with pure tech teams. What that means is they're partnering with people who, they're like, we can build software, but they're not thinking about the business ramifications of what they're building. And so what you really, really need is you need a team who can make technical decisions, abstract you from those, but they need to be doing so while considering the business impact of what it is. So the way we approach this is we're entrepreneurs, so we understand the business needs, and we try and make decisions that align with your goals, your strategy, and the specific nuances of your business. So for example, if we're building some kind of automation within your business, we'll often want to actually talk to the people who are going to be using the software. So, if we're building for you some kind an AI automation that's going to automate a lot of the work for your sales team, for example, we'll actually want to talk to a couple of your sales team and understand, so how do you use your CRM today? What are the biggest friction points? Okay, so if we could have, for example, an AI agent listening to your calls and then updating your CRM for you, and you just check the update and you confirm it, that's going to save a lot of your time. So you can spend a lot more time on the phone getting deals rather than updating and maintaining the CRM. And in that conversation, we understand what are the major priorities, and then we can make technical decisions that align with both the long term, in the terms of where you're going to find value in your software, and also in what's going to realize value the fastest. So that is number 5. Number 6, almost did number 7, is ignoring user validation. So what that is just like we said before, we want our MVP as small as possible. We want to be pushing that out to users. Now, something we do see is people are focused on what they think is going to be wonderful software. But if you are not your target user, then what you risk doing is you build software that's wonderful for you, but not for the people who are wanting to use it. So, just like in marketing, what we want to do is we want to consider who is our marketing avatar, or in this case, who is our user, and how do we build software that's going to solve real problems for them and make their life easier, and it's going to make a good product, software product, is going to be sticky. It's going to, the user's going to keep using it over time because they derive value from it. They're going to build their business around it. They're going to build parts of their life around it. They're going to habitualize usage. And that's where we end up building really, really good software products. Whether it be, it's a SaaS we're trying to sell, whether it be a automation or a system that we're using inside our business, we want to make sure that it's the most impactful for the user and not what we think is going to be impactful, just like marketing. Now, number 7 is underestimating the ongoing costs. What does that mean? Well, a lot of software traditionally has things like hosting costs, server costs, and a few other things. Most recently, though, a lot of software is including various aspects of AI. Now, AI has a lot of usage-based costs to it. So for example, if we're connecting to OpenAI and we're using their OpenAI models to generate content, to analyze things, etc., that has an ongoing cost. And so what we see in, for example, SaaS platforms that we're building for our clients is they have both a subscription, and either the subscription is sufficiently high that no matter how much a power user uses the software, they're still making money, or they have some kind of usage-based component to their pricing, tokens, credits, something like this. Now, the other thing that's important to consider is you need not just to pay for the cost of the software, but also for example, updates, maintenance. If you want to be changing around custom software, building your own is not the same as getting software out of the box. So for example, if you're paying today, let's say $100,000 a year for your CRM, say you're paying for HubSpot. HubSpot are doing all the updates. If you build your own CRM, you are responsible for, and you do need some level of support from a technical team, from a developer, to be making updates, to be addressing bugs, to be expanding and customizing functionality. Now, the advantage of the custom software is you can make it work exactly how you want it to work. So you have a lot more flexibility and freedom than you are with out-of-the-box packaged software, but it does come with the cost of literally the development time. So worth keeping those in mind. Now, finally, I'll give you one more bonus as well, which is as you're building your software, there's a concept called technical debt. This is number 8. So technical debt is where effectively short-term decisions in the software product can lead to future problems and future costs. Now, technical debt is a natural part of the software development process because, for example, the way you'd build the software for tens of thousands of users is different to how you'd use it for, say 1,000 users. Now, and the building it for 1,000 users is much faster and much cheaper than building it for hundreds of thousands of users. But when we get to 100,000 of users, we'll need to get rid of or change how we built it originally in order to make it work and be able to sustain hundreds of thousands of users. So there is an aspect of that, which is technical debt, which is the aspect that we need to change and remove. However, that's probably actually a good decision to make because we don't need to, and we probably don't want to be using a full-blown, we don't want to be using a system that's built for hundreds of thousands of users if we don't need to be, because that's going to cost us tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And if we have hundreds of thousands of users, it's probably a good time to have them pay for all the updates. And so that's something to keep aware of and worth not neglecting. Because, for example, if we try cutting too many corners, if we want to push a software team to build fast, don't worry about that, just make it work, that can be done, but it can quickly become costly down the line. So it's something we want to engage in, but strategically. That's the main thing to keep in mind. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching. My name is Timothy Hynum, and I run a software development studio named 7 Sigma. What we do is we help entrepreneurs like you build software in their business. Now, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. It really helps us with the algorithm. And subscribe if you're building or if you're interested in learning how to build a successful software product. You'll find links to resources and templates in the description. If you're ready to start your project, you can reach out to us also using the link in the description. See you in the next video.